14 years ago, the scariest moment in my life happened. From time to time, most of us, including myself, imagine what we might do or how we would respond in extreme tense situations. We usually conclude by escaping the danger with an act of bravery, being the hero that gets interviewed afterwards and given some type of honorary medal from the police department. But until you actually find yourself in that situation, you really discover what you're made of. I lived in Chicago at the time. I was a 19-year-old boy that planned to drive all the way to Atlanta to spend 2 weeks with my friends from high school. They both attended college as I stayed home and got a full-time job. The 11-hour drive didn't bother me because I was excited to kick it with my boys for a week. Plus, they didn't have a car, so we needed my ride to get around. My road trip was going great until my first stop for gas outside of Louisville, Kentucky. A typical looking gas station I pulled into. Broad daylight, just after 1 p.m. Not only did I need gas, I needed to pee and get a couple of snacks. After using the restroom, I grabbed a soda and some beef jerky and waited in line to pay. The man in front of me was an old gray-haired man. He was wearing a hat, and on the back I could read it said, Vietnam vet. Anytime I see dudes like this, I'm extra nice to them because I think when they were my age, they were faced with life and death situations on a daily basis. They've probably done and seen things I could only imagine. And my biggest life challenge was putting in 40 hours a week at a Walmart. This is when everything flipped on its head. I looked over to the front door and saw a dark tinted sedan pull up right in front. Out popped 2 men wearing masks and holding guns. They came running in pointing their guns, one man yelling at the cashier to empty the drawer, and the other directing the 3 of us waiting in line to empty our pockets and give them all the cash we had. That bravery I was talking about before seemed to go out the window for me. I'm trembling with fear and seem to only do exactly what the gunman is instructing me to do. I had $700 in cash in my pocket for the week. That's an entire paycheck for me, but whatever they wanted, they could have as long as I was in one piece. When the gunman demanded the money from the old man in front of me, he said he didn't have any cash, and when told to give up his wallet, he simply said no. Now there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity, but I think the old man was just fearless. Maybe it was experiences he had in the war, but he wasn't remotely scared of a masked man with a gun. After making it clear he wasn't going to give up anything, this freaking coward popped him one time in the leg just below the knee, and both men got money from 2 customers and whatever was in the register. The store clerk called the police and medical. We used towels to stop the bleeding. I asked for his name as we were waiting for an ambulance. He says Jerry. Jerry didn't seem to be in too much pain. I tried to make small talk as a distraction anyway. As I'm sitting on the ground next to him, I notice he has a gun on his hip inside his waistband. I blurted out the obvious question, "Why didn't you pull out your gun?" He replies, "I didn't feel like killing anyone today." I couldn't think of anything else to say to him. The EMT arrived and bandaged him up. They said the bullet didn't go through, more so a graze. They took him to the hospital for precaution. As he was being wheeled away, I thought Jerry is one tough SOB. There are so many things I think about that day. I got out unharmed, but also complied. Does that make me a coward? If I had a gun, would I or should I have used it? What the hell did Jerry go through to not draw his gun? What an interesting man. I spoke to him for only 6 minutes, and it's had a lasting effect on me. Oh, I almost forgot. The 2 gunmen and getaway driver were caught and charged with armed robbery, attempted murder, and some other things I can't remember, but I know they will be locked away for quite some time. I haven't told anyone this story except for the friends that were with me when this happened. Even the friends that were with me don't believe me, so I don't see a reason to tell any more doubters, but here it goes. Me and my 3 friends wanted to go see a concert up in Bakersfield. Bakersfield was 4 hours away from where we lived, but we didn't care. We were all 20 and 21-year-olds that just wanted to have some fun. I was the one driving since my Chevy Tahoe had the most room. On our way there, traffic came to a screeching halt. The freeway basically turned into a parking lot. We became worried that we might not make the concert. We were 2 hours away without traffic, and the show was set to start in an hour and 45 minutes. We couldn't just sit there and miss the concert, so we all made a dumb decision that I would drive on the shoulder all the way until traffic clears, and if I got a ticket, we would all split the cost. So that's exactly what I started doing. We passed the standstill traffic for miles. Up ahead, I couldn't see what was causing the traffic. There was an accident with ambulance, police, and fire trucks. The accident involved both north and southbound routes. There was no center divide except for 50 feet of grass in between roads. I felt bad for passing traffic like this. As I passed the accident, I could see a bunch of debris scattered everywhere and a mangled blue car. It was so destroyed I couldn't tell what kind it was. A police officer saw me driving on the shoulder, but he didn't seem to care. He just had a distraught look on his face. I remember feeling disturbed passing the scene, but I never saw a body or anything. Anyways, we made it to the concert on time and had lots of fun. The show was over at 11 p.m., and that means we wouldn't get home until 3 a.m. I drove a little faster than before because all I wanted to do was get home and sleep. As we were passing the area where the accident was, there was no traffic and everything was cleaned up. I remember at this point briefly looking down to change the radio station, and when I looked up to the road, there was a small-looking boy standing in the middle of my lane. I only had a split second to react. I swerved into the other lane just in time to avoid him. The fellas in the back woke up to the jolt of the car. "What the hell, dude? What are you doing?" I was lucky to not lose control. I pulled off to the side and came to a stop. I told my friends what I saw. Travis, who was sitting in the front, was awake and says he didn't see anything. We all looked back to see the boy that I described, but there was nothing. My friends think I'm crazy and might just be seeing things because I'm tired. I was extremely shook up because I know what I saw. I continued to drive home anyways. We got into town and I dropped everyone off at their house. When I went to bed that night, the boy that I saw was playing over and over in my dreams. It was all I could think about. After not getting much sleep, I walked into the living room where my mom was watching TV, and the local news was on talking about the accident last night. It was a fatal accident. A boy in a blue car died at 10:30 p.m. The photo they showed was the same boy I saw standing in my lane at 1 a.m. I wasn't shocked. I felt deep down that this was who I saw. My first reaction was, why me? Was the boy warning me of my reckless driving? Was I the only one that saw him? I still don't have any answers to these questions, but ever since this happened, I've had such a more relaxed, calm demeanor towards life. I don't stress or get angry like I once did. I enjoy life a lot more. Even the really small things I'm extremely grateful for. This usually happens when people have a near-death experience, but I didn't experience it. I just saw the other side. I really love to drive. I love the freedom to go anywhere I want. That's why I got my driver's license on my 16th birthday. Between the ages of 19 and 23, I made the drive from Portland, Oregon to Las Vegas, Nevada, and back twice. One way is roughly 1,000 miles. Each of the 4 times making the trip, I did it all in one shot, only stopping for gas. It took me anywhere from 15 to 17 hours. I'd always be completely exhausted every time. Lots of caffeine to stay awake at the wheel. Each of the 4 trips, I took slightly different routes, but I always began each journey just after rush hour. Driving through the middle of the night was the best way to ensure avoiding traffic. Back then, I drove a 2002 Ford Escort. It wasn't much to look at, but it was the most reliable thing in my life. The route I took, for which I'm writing this, was to head straight east through Idaho, then directly south to Vegas. It was very straightforward. I didn't even have to look at my map. Flip phones didn't have GPS. By the time I crossed over from Idaho into Nevada, it was around 2 a.m. Jackpot is the name of the first town you drive through on Highway 93. Once I leave Jackpot, there is absolutely nothing. If you've ever drone through the Nevada desert at night, you know how eerie it feels. Pitch black, no life for miles. I made sure to fill up my gas tank before driving through there. As I'm driving along, I haven't seen another car for close to 10 minutes. I pass a sign that says fuel ahead. I definitely didn't need any, but I start to slow down anyways because whenever you come up to a town or gas station, the speed limit immediately drops from 70 to 35. There are speed traps all along the desert. As I'm slowing down, I notice a long, narrow object in the road covering my entire side of the highway. I quickly swerved to avoid it, but I ran over it with my front right tire. I heard a loud pop. I was fortunate to be going slow enough that my back right tire was able to avoid it. Knowing exactly what happened, I start punching my steering wheel out of anger, as I understand the awful situation I'm in right now. I'm stranded in a desert at 2 in the morning. The other bad news is I have absolutely no cell service. Most of the time driving through the desert, you get no bars. I remain calm as I know there's a gas station right up ahead, but as I'm getting closer, it looks like there's no lights on. Of course it's closed, I thought. I'm just gonna have to wait in my car until it opens, I guess. But as I'm about to pull in, I see a group of men standing near the side of the building, sort of hiding in the dark. I stop my car in the middle of the highway, just at the entrance of the gas station. This doesn't feel right. Something in my gut is telling me to not turn in. I stay right where I am, assessing the situation and what my next move is. It feels like me and the group of men are playing chicken. I'm looking at them. They're looking at me. We both are still. Before I make a decision, I vaguely see a dark figure in my rearview mirror, the shine of my taillight giving me just enough to see him approaching my car. He is also holding a long, thin object. It now dawns on me. Those are spike strips. This is a trap. As I start to drive away slowly with only 3 good wheels, the group of men start sprinting towards me. I try to go faster, but it's so difficult to control, and I'm scared of really damaging my car, but my life is more important. I go a little faster. My speed maxes out at 25, but that's good enough to get away from these creeps. Once I get about a mile from the gas station, I turn off my lights and pull into the desert, and go another half mile in so I can't be found even if they kept chasing me. I got out of my car and with a small flashlight on my keychain and spare tire in my trunk, I successfully changed my first tire. Took me longer than I'd like to admit, but I got it done. I know you shouldn't go many miles on a spare, but I made it 40 miles to the next service station. I only traveled 50 miles an hour to ensure my spare tire survived. I'm not sure if the guys planned to just rob me or what, but I always think that the people that live out there in the desert are capable of doing the hills have eyes type of stuff.